I don't remember what happened last week. I'm saying for any
Nick,
of these
ready?
football games. Yeah.
Jeff, ready?
Yep, let's do this.
Let's do it.
Freshly picked and ready for consumption. Here comes another round of the Radishcast.
Another Radishcast coming in for you. I'm your fearless commissioner and married as fuck manager, Mike Fisher. Along with me, just like every time, my co-host Nick Spillstole and Jeff Winning Streak Gregory. Let's turn some rumors into facts.
Winning streak. That's weird.
He can't be stopped.
Yeah, no, I'm on a hot streak right now.
Jeff might have the fewest winning streaks in league history, so you got to celebrate it when you can.
Oh, hell yeah, boy.
Is that rude, Jeff?
How's married life, Mike? It's only been a couple days, but
I cut my face with my wedding ring, so that was something. So I'm just not used to it.
Yeah, you got to get used to that.
Got my face with it. What the?
I was just like scratching or doing something, and then I got I don't know, like caught, and I was like, oh shit, that sucks. But no, other than that, it's been vastly different than life before, in no way. But
everything changes.
Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. The wedding was a blast. It was nice to have the whole league there. We got the league pic. That'll have to turn into our league photo here once I get photos back from the photographer. But no, I hope everybody else had as much fun as I did, because I had a lot.
I had a riot. I was hungover for like 2 days.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm still recovering. I feel like from the weekend, so it was
back on the horse.
It's the only way to do it. But yeah, no, it was a good time. Yeah, it was definitely nice to have Monday off work, leaving and Friday off too. We got all next week off, heading out on the honeymoon. So yeah, definitely
showing off the dance moves out there.
Yeah, I was
right.
sore from that. That's for sure. Especially the pony Magic Mike I pulled out of my asshole. So, but
that's pretty impressive.
But yeah, I know Travis had fun. Popped a blood vessel in his eye. Got to sing some karaoke. So good time by all.
Puked on Friday.
On Friday. Not on Sunday. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good segue into, we had the guest show, the guest Radishcast last week. So that was nice to see. The over-unders, I think we definitely hit the over on shirts coming off, because at one point late in the night I looked around and it was like the whole dance floor of guys had their shirts off. The puking, though, I didn't hear of any on the wedding night. Not that they didn't happen. I'm sure they happened, but I didn't hear of any. Travis puked the night before, so that does not count. But yeah, it's a good time by all. It's good. It was a nice little surprise, that guest Radishcast. So maybe somebody else will do it next week, because I'm certainly not recording on my honeymoon. So
what?
Come on, the commitment.
Wild.
News to us.
We'll have to do some double ups later in the season to make up for the 2 weeks we didn't do picks.
True.
But
pick next week.
Yeah, I could still pick on the road. You guys can do the show. I'll pick. You guys do the show. Easy.
Wait,
Done.
you're a glue.
We're nothing without you.
Yeah, we're nothing.
So I didn't announce it, obviously, because there wasn't a show, but the money winner from 2 weeks ago was Cobra Kai, smallest margin of victory. Is that it's over you, Nick? Sorry.
Yeah, it sucks.
And then last week, John, in a loss, got the highest scoring running back with Derrick Henry. There was 2 higher scoring, but both on benches, so they don't count. So yeah, this week, highest scoring bench player, a missed opportunity. So that'll hopefully come down to somebody that accidentally didn't start someone, not someone just tanking some players to try to win some money. But that's against the rules, so you can't do that anyway. But no, if we don't have anything else, let's hop into the first one.
This here's the Radish Recap.
Radish recap. So we got Grizzly Adams and Coach Alex Cooley taking on the SCLSU Mud Dogs and coaches Troy Hecht and Joe Harper. Grizz, I don't have favorites in here. Don't know what the favorite or over-under line was. I think this one was probably pretty even, though, but Cooley with the 138-90 victory. No picks on this, no bets. I don't know which way I would have ended up going, but definitely interesting. Cooley, the highest scoring team on the week with that 138 points. Man, Lamar Jackson is just doing literally whatever he wants, and it's pretty disgusting right now. So hard to lose when you're getting basically 40 a game from him, no matter what you do. So I started J.K. Dobbins there too. Starting to get back in the fold. Definitely a little slow coming, but the rest of the lineup just did solid things. Devontae Smith had a huge week. Finally bounced back a little bit. I don't know if Cooley stuck with him out of trust or out of just lack of other options, but worked out for him. So big week for Cooley. I think he's the third highest scoring team in the league right now.
Defending champ.
But only one win to show for it. So, Jeff, toss it over to you for the Mud Dog side of the ball. Anything you see in there?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Troy and Joe just came up against a hot Cooley team this week. Mahomes really kind of an average performance with 17. CeeDee Lamb got going late in that game, was kind of held in check for the first half there. And then really just nothing else that pops. Pitts had a okay game, nothing special. Damian Harris, kind of the same thing. So, Troy ended up putting just north of 90 points, but not enough and not any blow-up performances from a squad this week to kind of offset Lamar's score and maintain pace with Cooley. So, unfortunately, just didn't have it this week.
Yeah, definitely. And there's some players I'm curious on, Jerry Jeudy, 2 catches for 17 yards. Rashad Bateman, 2 for 59, lost a fumble in that one. But those are 2 guys, Troy really needs. So, Nick, tossing it over to you, you seeing better days ahead for some of his young receivers there. Obviously Pitts got on track a little bit. That helps, but he needs those other guys.
Yeah, I like Bateman still going forward, but that Jeudy play, I mean, I didn't really look at his bench too closely, but I just don't trust that offense at all. I mean, he was banged up. Snap percentage? Did he play portion of that next game because he was banged up from the previous one? 59%, so a little bit limited, it seems like. But I don't know, man. That offense looks like booty hole. I was talking to you, Mike, about sitting freaking Wilson for Geno this week. So it's like, I don't know. If he can, I'd move away, but I don't think he can, really, looking down at the roster.
He's got Romeo Dobbs, which had a nice game, and, you got Sammy Watkins on IR. You're curious if Christian Watson's going to miss again, but even if he doesn't, Christian Watson's kind of been gadgety so far. So, Romeo Dobbs could still, he's got a couple games here where he could kind of secure that spot, and if he does, you're probably going to be happy with him.
He definitely comes into the conversation for sure. I think especially with Jeudy underperforming like that, it's gross to say, but he might have to pivot off of him, which I know he was kind of a high acquisition that Troy had this offseason. So fortunately, but that offense just, I don't know what it is. No one's cooking.
Yeah. I'm personally still bullish on that Denver offense figuring it out. I know I've talked to you guys about this, and they're putting up yards. They're just not getting the touchdowns. That things look a lot different if a couple scores go their way, and I think part of that's to be expected from a brand new coaching staff and a new team. But eventually, you run out of you can't make that excuse forever, and eventually they got to figure it out and put up points, and they're just not doing it. So, yeah, it's tough for them, but definitely some ability on that team. Mixon's not going to put up 5 points every week. So
no.
Hopefully better days ahead for the Mud Dogs there. Moving on to our next match, we got Archduke Fish and Coach Mike Fisher taking on Lil JJ Humpy in my dumpy and Coach Jordan Chartier. I know Archdukes were a favorite in this one, and I know they covered the line. 126-71 got the win. Pretty gross game out of the dumpies this week, so I might have put something in his dumpy this week. But Nick, I'll toss it over to you first. What you seeing in this one?
I'll take Jordan's side first. I mean, coming off that big game from Hill the previous week and then going against Buffalo, I thought we'd see a lot of points scored in that game. I don't know if it was because it was so hot. I don't know. 21-19. Buffalo's defense, the real deal. But are we still Tua believers? Yeah, we are. Of course.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that sucks for him. Aaron Jones only 4.2. I don't know the breakdown between the two running backs off the top of my head, but 63%. I don't even remember watching that game, to be honest with you, but that's another low performer. Gabe Davis too. We talked about that game already. Yeah, it's just tough for the little dumpies taking to the dumpy.
Yeah. Cooper Rush has been reasonable for him in the interim here, so at least he's got that. He hasn't killed his team, hasn't obviously won him any weeks, but he's getting a performance that can keep him afloat. But yeah, Aaron Jones, right? Like you said, he got 12 carries, he got 4 targets. That's a reasonable workload. Just didn't do anything with it, and part of that's that Tampa Bay run defense that's really strong. So he needed to get it done through the air, and only 4 targets through the air isn't enough to get you excited. Jeff, toss it over to you. Why don't you take a look at my side of the ball?
Yeah, I mean, put up 126 points, Mike. I saw you took out Tom Brady and went with Derek Carr this week and paid off for you there pretty nicely. He had a pretty solid performance, just shy of 20 points. But, one big question mark is when is Jonathan Taylor going to start doing Jonathan Taylor things? And same with, McCaffrey had 25 carries, 108 yards, but, he only got 12.5 points, no touchdowns, which is just, crazy. A guy that gets that many touches, and him in general usually gets in the end zone twice with that usage. But you got to like what you see out of Marquise Brown and getting Kittle back in your lineup, even though he didn't really have a great game, first game back in a while. So I think it's gonna be good, and just to keep carrying on. Barkley looked really, really good in that game, and he's kind of been, I shouldn't say a surprise, but his performances this year have just been solid, and looks like he's back to his rookie form there. So overall, Mike, just a really solid week. No one really sprung or went crazy for you, but no one really laid a dud besides maybe Kittle, if you want to look at it that way. But you didn't really give up too much against Jordan in that tight end battle. So
yeah, putting up 126 points, like you said, McCaffrey and Taylor, 21 and 25 carries, 4 and 5 targets between the two of them. Neither of them scored a touchdown. So, there's upside with those guys. And then one thing I think is interesting, and it's going to be really interesting as we continue to watch this San Francisco offense, but Deebo Samuel hasn't been able to get a lot going on the ground, whereas last year it felt like he was scoring every third time he got a carry. So it seems like teams have maybe, game planned around that a little bit more. They're a little more ready for him coming out of the backfield on some of those carries. So hopefully that leads to, relying on the passing game a little bit more, and Kittle stays involved. I'm happy with 5 targets, even though it's not a lot of points. So, yeah, good day to be a Duke. Had to throw Adam Thielen in there, and he bailed me out with a touchdown and 8 targets. So helps when Justin Jefferson gets 14 yards on the week, but we'll get into that later. So moving on to our next one. We got Benny and the Jets and Coach Ben Stelzer taking on the Tate Ticklers and Coach Nick Stoll. This line is not accurate, or maybe it is, I'm not sure. But the Jets take the win 86-67. Definitely the week where you could have pulled one off against Ben here, but Jeff, I want to toss it over to you first and let you look at Nick's side of the ball here.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, if you're ready for it, let's
Jeff's worst coach of the week.
Nick, you're the worst coach of the week, man. Benny, you look at his side, he only puts up 86 points. He's your division leader at 2-0. You just came off of a pretty rough loss. Got to have a team perform, and you kind of lay a dud. You only put up 67 points. No one really on your team did anything that's noteworthy. I mean, your highest point total is Pittman at 11.2, and it was a really, really rough week for you, bud. So you're Jeff's worst coach of the week. better days are hopefully ahead for you, man. But we'll see.
Understandable.
The threshold for a bad week is basically what did Kyle do this week? You only outscored him by just over 10 points. So that's not a strong place to be.
And it's just the opportunity to win a
Was
huge
there.
game too, and
Yep.
it just that comes into it.
Yeah, this would have definitely taken everything that you the wind kind of came out of your sails last week, taking the loss to Stankowski, and this could have brought it all back. But yeah, definitely disappointing. Looking at Benny's side of the ball, solid week from Rogers. At 16 points, it's kind of just where you'd project him. Nothing special, nothing killing you. Dalvin Cook had a fine week, but that injury is going to be interesting to watch moving forward, especially the shoulder dislocation, because any given week he could go out there and aggravate that. Right at the start of a game. That's going to be a dangerous thing going forward here. Cooper Kupp getting the rushing touchdown to kind of save his day. Not kind of uncharacteristically bad game for him. Only 4 for 44 through the air, so kind of saved himself there. But yeah, other than that, it's just not a whole lot going on Benny's side of the ball. Devontae Adams got the touchdown, but only 36 yards through the air. Just a weird week and a big down week for Benny here. But yeah, Nick, any last thoughts? Any words of wisdom for your team moving forward?
Just get healthy, boys. I'm tired of starting 2 tight ends and fucking Sterling Shepard. So
Well, Sterling Shepard tore his
That definitely
ACL, so
plays
you don't have to worry about that.
yeah, never again.
I mean, you can throw him in there if you want.
Why not? I got 1st-round picks, right? It'll be fine.
Now you got Richie James, though.
Richie, my boy.
Richie.
Moving on to our next matchup, we got Cobra Kai and Coach Kyle Stankowski taking on Ball His Life and Coach John Lamers. Don't know the line on this one, but I'm sure it would have been relatively, in John's favor here. But Cobra Kai taking the win, 110-95. A solid week for Stankowski here. But Nick, I'm gonna toss it right back to you. What you seeing with Kyle here?
Yeah, we got Stankowski. Hurts is just a stud, man. He's carrying that team, and then he's getting some production out of these players. Traded for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, only 7 carries, but got a touchdown in there.
0 yards, 7 carries, 0 yards, and a touchdown.
0 yards? What is that stat line?
It throws you off when you look at the stat line because it's just 7 carries, 1 touchdown. I mean, you got some catches in there, but yeah, no yards on 7 carries. I thought that was amazing.
Still got more than Najee Harris.
Yeah, right. But keep going, Nick. Sorry.
Yeah, Robinson, man, he has been. I didn't think he was going to be like this year, and he's just a stud. I don't know if it's going to continue. I mean, his usage is so high. I can't see it not. Olave, baby. 9 for 13 and 147. Take that, baby. Yeah, we'll see. Kyle, team doesn't look too bad, but I don't think consistency is going to be there going forward. A lot of those rookies to perform, and like we talked about, I don't know if I love that Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but he might make us all look stupid and just have a hell of a year this year. I don't know.
Yeah, I liked the trade from my side because Clyde wasn't going to sniff my lineup, so getting a 1st-round pick out of it,
perfect.
Feels good to me. But yeah, John's side of the ball, nice to see Derrick Henry pop back in a game here. But like you said, Najee, that last play of the game, that Thursday night game where they were lateraling it, and Najee gets credited with the fumble and lost, 5-6 yards. Didn't make the difference in the game, but his day looks a little better if you don't take those 2.5 points away at the end of it. DK Metcalf got in the end zone, 12 targets for him. So I mean, something's gotta happen with him eventually. You think that things are better days are ahead. And then Jamar Chase, only 29 yards. Just a bad week for receivers all around. It felt like all the top guys were way down this week. And he's not going to win a whole lot of games when Mike Williams is giving him 1 catch. He got lucky. It was for a touchdown, but just a weird week, and kind of all hit pretty bad for him this week, except for that Derrick Henry play. Jeff, what else you seeing in this game?
I mean, I'm just seeing John at 0-3. I don't think any of us really would have thought that would have been the start here. And, especially losing this one early week 1 or week 2, and you see Kyle's on your schedule, you're hoping you're maybe 1-1 or 2-0 going into this game. But definitely not thinking you're going to be 0-3 after this week. But, you know, you got to give Kyle credit where it is. He made the right plays. He got the guys in his lineup, Olave and Robinson and Hurts being the big guys, and just 110. You're going to be in a lot of games, and you're going to give yourself opportunity to win weeks. So just a nice overall performance from the Cobra guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, if you're John, you know, still a really solid lineup, but yeah, like you're saying, he's got to survive an 11-week suspension from Deshaun Watson before he gets, you know, a little bit better at quarterback. He's got to survive a 6-week suspension from DeAndre Hopkins before he has another wide receiver in the mix. You know, but I don't know if that means he goes away from Mike Williams at that point, or what the plan is for him. But, you know, there's better days ahead, but he's got to weather the storm better than this early in the season. He's got to pick up a few cheap wins here. So, yeah, definitely interesting to see him down in the dumps right now. Moving on to our next matchup, we got I Am Left-Handed and Coach Kyle Monroe taking on Jay's Juggernauts and Coach Jeff Gregory. Jeffy, I have to imagine you were a 50 or so point favorite in this one, and you got a 50-point win, 106-56.
Let's go, Jeffy.
Getting that win on the board, Jeff. I'm going to toss it to you. Why don't you talk through your side here?
Yeah, it feels good to get the first one off the ledge there. You know, hopefully you can string a couple in a row here. We'll see. Got a tough one this week, but, you know, pretty good performances. That Cooper play, I was a little nervous to do that one and throw him in there, but he rewarded me. And then Christian Kirk has kind of been a nice surprise here. He's just been super targeted and getting in the end zone. And, you know, I think hopefully it stays consistent going forward. So went with the two Washington wide receivers, and although they didn't have huge performances, they didn't let me down either. So, you know, I'm got a couple decisions here this week, but overall pretty happy with the performance. 106, and I think some room to grow there, you know, especially with my running back rooms not really going too crazy, with Hall putting up 12 and ETN involved, just not getting in the end zone here early this year. But we'll see. You know, go Tua, same thing, coming off that monster performance, had a little bit of a down week here. So I think there's opportunity to get some more points here, but just feels nice to get that first win. Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah, and you know, yeah, and I don't think any of us thought that you know, Jacksonville was going to walk into a 38-10 win over the Chargers. You know, I got to think ETN's going to get better. They got to be. I mean, they're 2-1 right now. They're just destroying the Chargers, which, you know, it's a game where Herbert is kind of injured. I didn't watch the game, so I don't really know what he looked like or if that hampered him at all. But I got to think in a negative game script, ETN's going to get a little extra work, so that'll probably make you a little happier there. But yeah, it's going to be curious to watch you with McLaurin and Samuel moving forward. You know, are you going to be able to put them both in consistently? You know, they've both been pretty good so far. Samuel oddly a little bit better than McLaurin so far this year, but you know, they're both getting a lot of targets. But if that offense sputters at all, you know, that's going to really hurt you. So, Nick, toss it over to you. Talk about what you can on Kyle's side of the ball.
I don't know, dude. Zay Jones, I guess. We talked about Jacksonville being good. That's surprising there. What is his first couple of games looking like? 9-3 and then 19. So I don't know, man. This team's doo-doo. I don't even want to spend time talking about it. Probably gonna beat me though when we play. You watch.
He's got Matt Collins, man. Matt Collins, a monster performance.
Throw it in there, baby.
Renfro out. Matt Collins got 10 targets to Darren Waller's like 5. So
good trade, Nick.
But no, yeah, not a whole lot to be excited there. You know, if you're Kyle, I'm sure you were hoping that Justin Fields was going to take a step forward this year, but they won't even let him throw the ball. So, you know, 17 attempts. It's tough to get a whole lot going for him, even just to progress for next year. So, definitely a tough one. But yeah, Kyle, I'd like to say there's better days ahead, but. Moving on to our next matchup, we got Old Hen Joe and Coach Joe Thomas taking on the Ashwaubenon Righties. Coach Tony Fisher. The righties were probably a favorite in this one. Again, I don't know. But took the win, 113-89. Again, 113 points, probably a game where, Joe maybe could have capitalized, but, David Montgomery getting hurt right away, only getting him a point. Javonte Williams, we talked about that offense kind of being, not very great. 3 catches for 2 yards and then another 15 carries for 58. Melvin Gordon got the touchdown. If it's to Javonte, we're probably talking about it a little bit differently. But that's kind of the nature of the beast that they're working with the snap splits they have there. Drake London's looked fantastic so far. A.J. Brown, another great game. So overall, a solid performance from Joe, but just not enough to push him into that 115 points he needed. Amon-Ra St. Brown looks like he tweaked his ankle in that game, so curious if he plays this week or not. But finished out that game and had a solid game still. Nick, toss it over to you for Tony's side of the ball.
Yeah, like you're talking about, down week, he's still scoring 113 points. So, your team's good. Justin Jefferson only scoring 2.9. I was flying most of that day, so I didn't really watch too much football. But I saw he was triple covered on a lot of Lions triple covered him on a lot of plays. Just take him fully out of a game. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either.
Worked for the first 75% of the game.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews is the GOAT, man. That guy is a stud. He made some sick catches. Yeah, Tony, your team is good. We get it.
Yeah, Nick Chubb's kind of making me look stupid for, bagging on him for getting yards but no touchdowns. but what I said is still kind of sitting true. 113 yards, got the touchdown, but still 0 for 1, 1 target, no catches. That's going to make his baseline just, tough to come by in games where he doesn't get a touchdown. So, no, definitely a high-powered offense here. DeAndre Swift hurt, so luckily he can probably pivot right to Jamal Williams, but I don't know that it gives you the same upside, just in time for Craig Reynolds to go off, I guess. But
that'd be a Lions thing too. You get Jamal Williams in there, you're feeling good about it, and Craig Reynolds goes for 100 plus yards and 2 touchdowns. Steals all the carries.
Come on.
Man, you gotta be worried about Austin Eckler too, though.
I know
he had eight catches, 48 yards, only 4 carries for 5 yards in that whole game. It's just, I know they got kind of trounced and didn't have to run the ball very much, but still, just suspect usage, and it's not like it's just this game. It's been all season, so curious if he turns it around or if this is kind of what we should expect going forward from Eckler. So,
and there was reports early in the offseason that they were going to try to limit his usage, and I don't think anyone really took that to heart. They were just all right, yeah, you're just saying that, but I mean, man, he has not been the same dude that he was all last year, and thankfully Tony really hasn't needed him to be that guy because other players on his team are just performing week in and week out. Mark Andrews especially, but if Tony gets into a battle, with Mike and Ben and some of these powerhouse teams, he's going to need Eckler to show up, and hopefully he does.
Yeah, he sure will. Yeah. So that brings our standings. Nick, a strong start to the year, 10-2 in the 2 weeks where we did picks. I'm at 8-4. Jeff, 7-5. Not representing the ring very well, but all right.
I love that he always has it.
Oh, where else would
There's
you
plenty
keep
of time, baby.
All right, with that out of the way, I'm going to unwrap a wedding cupcake, and we're going to go on to the next segment.
Mid-show break.
Dive on into the Husky League matchups.
Oh, it's delicious.
Oh, that's delicious.
Husky League matchups. We got Grizzly Adams at 1-2, taking on I Am Left-Handed at 0-3. We got Grizz as a 46-point favorite in this one. Should be an easy win for him, but Jeff, I'll toss it to you first. What you got here?
46 points. I'm going to go with the Grizz. I think think it'd be tough to vote against Lamar and the way that he's been performing. I liked Pollard and the little bit I got to watch of that game. He looked explosive. It's only a matter of time before they just keep feeding him the ball. And like always, Cooley's wide receiver group with Samuel, Johnson, and Smith. You got to love what you saw from Smith yesterday. They're going against Jacksonville, who surprisingly has a high-powered offense this year. So, that game could be a shootout, and you like to see Smith in those. And then he's got Herbert in there right now. Who knows if Montgomery's going to play or not? But if he doesn't, then that's going to be just an extremely solid play. So, I don't know if he'll really need it because it's a 46-point spread, and he's going against I am left-handed. But I do like his lineup and his matchups this week.
Nick, what do you got in this one?
I'm sick of talking about this team. Freaking Kyle. Sorry, Kyle. No, I got Grizz going too. There's not enough there. I like the matchups on Cooley's side. As Jeff mentioned, Lamar has just been a stud. I like Debo against the Rams. We'll see. I mean, that offense really hasn't been high performing, but this will be Garoppolo's second start, right? How much did he play that last game? Like a quarter?
I played 3 quarters,
Previous
I think. I'm pretty sure Trey Lance got hurt pretty early on.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was like the first or second series.
Okay. Well, never mind then. Well, we'll see him against the Rams. I don't think they have that. They do have a decent defense, but Debo coming back like that. You talked about Pollard. I mean, he does look better than Zeke. He looks more explosive. Yeah. Yep. I got Grizzy.
I had Grizz written into the document. I'm going to switch it. I'm going to take the lefties to cover a 46-point line.
What?
I have to pick him at least sometime this year, so I guess I'll take him after he gets Craig Reynolds off waivers. Maybe he gets some extra work in there. Kyler Murray against Carolina, that should be a good matchup. Jerick McKinnon has actually led the Kansas City Chiefs in snap share every single week, which is weird. He's not getting as much work as Clyde, but he's getting the snaps in there, so there's some opportunities. I don't know. But, Zay Jones, Cole Kmet, Mac Hollins, there's at least guys that can do something this week. And I think when you look over at Cooley's side of the ball, Lamar and Dobbins going against a Buffalo defense that's really, really solid. So, maybe you get held to a little bit there. The Rams against Samuel, maybe they can hold him a little bit. And Kelsey against Tampa Bay, that defense has been playing pretty well all season. So, it's less so that it's what I believe to be true, but it's more so that, if there was a game where the lefties were going to have a decent outing, I think this is the one. And maybe he can keep it within 45 points.
Got a little bit of cushion there, Mike. So
Yeah.
So Travis has Grizz in this one, taking the win. No surprise there, but I did give Travis some shit about picking people that are playing the lefties as his lock, so I don't think he's going to do that very much anymore. Moving on to our next matchup, we got the SCLSU Mud Dogs at 1-2, taking on Ball is Life at 0-3. Ball's a 1-point favorite in this one, and I got to say, this is a pretty important game. This is Ball is Life needing to pick up this first win. A game between two playoff hopeful teams. You gotta think that there's a chance this comes down to a tiebreaker later in the year. When I'm looking at this, I gotta go with Ball's Life here. Jamar Chase has kind of been held to pretty much nothing the last couple weeks. I think they make it a point to make sure he's getting involved on Thursday night. DK Metcalf, like we talked about earlier, he's getting so much work, that I think it's got to turn out for him. And then the Packers and A.J. Dillon playing against New England without Mac Jones, I think that maybe turns into a bit of a blowout. And A.J. Dillon gets a lot of work running down the clock late. We do have a start-sit on John's side of the ball, so I'm gonna touch on that real quick. So Tyler Conklin or T.J. Hawkinson. Conklin is the tight end 3, I believe, right now. Solid games, 3 games in a row, but you do have the change to Zach Wilson this week. And then Hawkinson with Amon-Ra St. Brown potentially out. I think that's where it really becomes a question. So, from from my perspective at least, if St. Brown's out, I'm probably gonna roll Hawkinson. But if he's in, I'm probably gonna stick with Conklin and what's been working for them. Nick, toss it over to you for your pick and also for that start sit.
Yeah, I got Ball's life. I'll touch on start sit. I didn't know they were transition quarterbacks. That gives me a little leery. I think I just roll with Hawkinson. I mean, he's not killing you. He's not doing great for you. I mean, the target share for Conklin was pretty high. I think let me pull it up real quick. 7, 9, and 8. I mean, you can't complain about those numbers for a tight end. But the uncertainty with that quarterback change. Yeah, but I'm taking Ball here. I want Troy to pull this one off, so I don't even care if I'm wrong and have my rival start off 0-4. But I think I just like the matchups over there on John's side a little bit more. Those stars have to get rolling. I'm a little concerned about Mike Williams. I think, is Keenan coming back this week? I sure as God hope so.
I think so.
I think so as well.
I think so too. But
Yep.
So yeah, Jeff, why don't you maybe talk through some of these matchups Troy's got on his side and give your pick?
Yeah, I like Troy's side of the ball here. I like his lineup this week. CD against Washington, I think, has potential to be a high-scoring game. Buffalo versus the Bills. I think, the Bills had a rough loss, pretty upset against the Dolphins last week. They come in against the Ravens. That has potential to be high-scoring. Bateman, who knows? It only takes one deep one with him. He's had a lot of long catches and long touchdowns. So, and we touched on Judy too. I think it's a pretty good matchup against the Raiders. Those in the dome throwing it around. There's potential there. So I do like a lot of what Troy's got out here, but it's one of those where I also think that John needs to get this win. I like his running backs this week. And Mike, to your point, DK and Jamar Chase really do it for me. I do have a player in here too that is making me lean towards Ball is life.
Jeff's keep on cooking.
Who wants some man meat?
I do. I want some man meat.
And it's Derrick Henry for me. He's Jeff's just keep on cooking. He had a good week last week. I think they need to run the ball to win games, and I think Derrick Henry is going to get that usage that he usually gets against a Colts defense that hasn't been as good as advertised going into the season. So I'm going to roll with Ball is life. And to touch on the start sit, I probably just roll with Hawkinson because I'd rather be wrong and play Hawkinson than have Hawkinson go off for 25 points and I lose by 2 points. That's the way I'm looking at it. So
yeah, totally understand that. So all of us have Ball is life winning this game, but Travis feels differently. He's got the Mud Dogs. Not only does he have them, but
On lockdown. Well, here's a
Travis.
that's got the
Picks.
on lock.
Travis is very confident in the Mud Dogs here. Got him on lockdown.
Gosh.
So moving on to our next matchup, we got Benny and the Jets at 3-0, taking on Jay's Juggernauts at 1-2. The Jets are a 16-point favorite here. Jeff, I'm gonna toss it over to you. Talk through your game a little bit here. What you got in this one?
yeah, I do have a couple start sit questions for you guys, but I got some pretty good matchups. I touched on that Dallas-Washington game and how I think it's going to be a decently high-scoring game. So I'm kind of excited to get those two wide receivers in there. Could be, like we mentioned earlier, could be a complete flop if they don't produce like the other week. But, my big question here is what do I do with my running back room here? I got 5 guys that have been kind of in the same tier, same outage for producing wise. So my question to you guys is I got to pick 2 of these guys. Do I pick Hall, Stevenson, Penny, or do I keep rolling with Curtis Samuel in my flex spot? So I didn't mention it, but I'm going to go with Benny and the Jets on this one. I'm picking against the Jugs.
Yeah, so I'll touch on that start sit before I toss it over to you, Nick. When I look at this, one player sticks out to me as automatically out of the question for me, and it's Ramondre Stevenson. Touched on that New England offense going up against a tougher Green Bay defense without your starting quarterback. You're rolling Brian Hoyer out there. I just think that there's a lot of opportunity for them to not be able to get anything going. So if I'm looking for upside, I'm playing against Ben. I'm sitting Stevenson automatically. It's tough. It's always tough
It's
to
really
want
tough.
to start two wide receivers from the same team, but I think you got to do it. I'm gonna say that you roll with Curtis Samuel in that flex. And Rashad Penny, like you have it sitting now.
Yep.
So against Detroit, I think that's his opportunity to have a big game. That's probably the choice I make is I go with Penny and Samuel. So Nick, toss it over to you on that start sit and also your pick.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going Penny against Detroit. You have to put him there. That's going to be one of his bigger games. And it's tough. So you're looking for upside.
Yep.
And you have two wide receivers from the same team going against Dallas, though, and they performed. Oh, I think you stay with what you got in there right now with Penny and Samuel as well. I mean, it seems disgusting to say, but would you start Samuel over McLaurin?
Yeah, I mean, it's crossed my mind. I'm not at that point yet, but it's
That's
definitely
why you're rolling too deep. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, if one of these or running backs pop off or start to get super good usage and they're, things continue down the same path, then I almost have to start looking at that. But I'm not there yet. I can't give up on the boy.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel has more targets every week, plus he's getting carries on top of it. So, if it came down to it, I'd probably do it, and it would hurt, and it would be super painful when Terry got a touchdown that week and happened to score a couple extra points. But I'd probably look to do it. So, Nick, I don't know if you were able to get to your pick or not. I can't remember.
Yeah, I got Benny in this one. Down week last week, but I think he's going to pick it up here. I mean, concerning about Cook, we already touched on that on the recap. There's a chance. I mean, 16 points for Benny. That line, you got a chance here, Jeffy. Do it to him. I'm taking Benny, but I want Jeffy. I'm rooting Jeffy here.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this game. I purposely saved myself for last on this one, and mainly because
Mike's against the expert's pick. Are you gonna listen to a big dummy, or are you gonna listen to me?
So Jeff, I got you covering this line, and not only that, I think you have a legitimate chance to win this game. We just saw Jacksonville's offense just go nuts against a good Chargers defense. I think that's going to push both Christian Kirk to have a lot of targets. Philly's defense is very good, but he's going to get a lot of targets. And also, I think that they can keep pace and push Dallas Goedert. We've seen Philadelphia's had blowout wins the first couple weeks of the year. If they actually have to play a full game and be passing all game, I think that could mean a lot of good things for all their pass catchers, including Goddard. We touched on those two wide receivers from Washington. Amari Cooper, since week one was kind of rough, but since then it's been fantastic. So I think you've got it all kind of going right. Tua's a little banged up, but he's the Thursday night game, so you'll know right away, is he in, is he out, how is he looking in warm-ups? You can kind of make that decision as you need to. And then on Benny's side of the ball, if Cook does play, he's super volatile. That's an injury that recurs, at a high rate, so he could get knocked out early. James Conner, I think, tweaked an ankle this last week or the week before. I think he's questionable. He looks like he's going to play, but again, just not 100%. And then some of the matchups, Cooper Kupp against San Francisco, a solid defense. Devontae Adams against Denver, that's a really good defense. Their offense has been dog crap, but they're 2-1 because their defense is not letting up much of anything. So I really do like your matchups, and I really don't love what Benny's got going. Stephon Diggs is going to go nuts. That Baltimore secondary is dog crap. But other than that, his team is just not in a great spot. So Jeff, I think if I had to, I'd pick you to win this game just to be a little spicy. But I at least got you covering the line for sure.
Hey, the jugs
Spicy. Coming in hot.
the love.
So Travis also has Benny winning here, so I'm on an island, but that's all right. I like it that way.
It's a good island to be on, though, Mike.
Yeah.
I'll
With
give you
Jeffy.
some love.
Moving on to our next matchup, we got the Taint Ticklers at 1 and 2, taking a little JJ Humpy and Madumpy at 1 and 2. JJ Humpy is a 5-point favorite in this one. Nick, I'm gonna toss it to you first. What you got in this?
I got myself covering that 5-point spread, hopefully getting a win here. We're starting to get a little more healthy. We'll see. We talked about that game, Denver versus Vegas. I hope Russell Wilson can turn that around a little bit. Kamara against Minnesota. He's been very, very concerning this year. It's been usage way down. They're not looking at him in the passing game. I know last week he had 7 targets, but just nothing to show at that 6.3 line. It's going to be nice getting Keenan Allen back. Hopefully Julio plays. I don't know. What is there any reports about Godwin? I don't know if I trust playing him over Julio, even if he does play. I don't think he will this week, but
I haven't heard anything
I thought he was
on him.
practicing. Yeah, I thought he was limited in
Practiced
practice,
in a
but
limited, yeah.
I don't think he. I mean, it'd be pretty risky to throw him in there the first week back, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Allen Robinson, do I just throw him on the bench and never talk about him again? That's the real question.
I mean,
Throw a little
does
Richie James in
does
there.
that mean, I was gonna say that means you're starting Richie James. I mean, there's worse
Oh,
ideas
Melvin
in the
Gordon.
world.
Melvin
Yeah,
Gordon.
Melgore, I would look to. I would do that straight up.
Yeah, that's
Like,
a
not
start
even
sit question.
Yeah, I would personally be throwing Melvin in there. Especially in a Vegas game where their defense has been pretty bad, and I like their opportunity to score some touchdowns. I think Russell Wilson gets right this week too, and like you said, just a lot of health coming in for you, Nick. Assuming you get Keenan back, assuming you get Julio back. Nick, I also have you covering this 5-point spread here. Kansas City proved they have a pretty good defensive front that I think can hold Fournette down a little bit here. And then 2 Packer receivers and a Packer running back going against that New England team where I think the Packers could. New England's got a solid defense, but the Packers could just kind of walk away with that game a little bit without much offense coming from the New England side of the ball. So I see a lot of opportunity for downside on George's side of the ball. Gabe Davis still kind of dealing with that ankle injury. So I'm going with Nick as well here. Jeff, how about you?
I'm going to go opposite of you guys. I didn't realize that Jordan had 3 Packers in there until you just said that, Mike. But I think I don't know if this lineup is 100% set. If it is, then I'm a little nervous about those 3 Packers. But I'm going to run with Humpy and my Dumpy this week for the 5 points, and mostly Nick because I don't know if Keenan's going to play. If he does, is he going to be full go? Kamara, that injury held him out, I believe last week, was it? Or was he in there?
Ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. So
week.
he's still questionable. He just hasn't been too impressive yet. And to answer your start-sit question, I definitely would pull Robinson out and probably put Melvin Gordon in there. At least the guy's going to get some carries and potential for goal line work. But, getting it over to Jordan's side, I think Tyreek has a bounce-back game. I saw a report where Tua's going to just throw the ball to him if it's anytime one-on-one coverage, and he's been chirping, earlier this week. So I'm pretty excited about that. Aaron Jones, I think, has to have a bounce-back game. He's had a rough one last week, and I think he has potential there. And if the Packers don't blow the Patriots out right in the beginning, then that Lazard play is pretty appetizing to me. So Gabe Davis and Cortland Sutton, 2 guys that can do it, have done it. They're not the most consistent, but if they hit on the right week, then they could be putting up monsters. So I think there's potential. There's a lot of risk here with Jordan's lineup, but for this week, I'm going to roll with Humpy and my Dumpy.
Yeah, George's side of the ball, you look at Garrett Wilson sitting down there on the bench, 8, 14, and 10 targets the first 3 weeks. We kind of talked about the quarterback change happening, and maybe you want to wait that out and see what Zach Wilson looks like when he's back there. Does he kind of gravitate back towards Elijah Moore, or does he, keep peppering Garrett with the targets? And also Zeke sitting on the bench, going against Washington. He could realistically move some things around and, throw Garrett Wilson in for Lazard if he wanted. He could throw Zeke in for Gabe Davis if he wanted. Definitely some flexibility if he didn't like the matchups. But, lot going on there. Moving on to our next matchup. We got Old Man Joe at 2-1, taking on Archduke Fish at 3-0. Duke's come into this one as a 19-point favorite. Shouldn't be any question to anybody that I'm going to take myself in this one. And it shouldn't be any question to anybody why I'm taking myself in this one. I'll give you guys one guess.
Running back? Can I read it?
Running backs. But yeah, no, Chicago is a good matchup for Barkley. Jonathan Taylor, good matchup against Tennessee, and McCaffrey against Arizona. Those are 3 pretty soft defenses that I'm excited for those guys to go against. Hoping to see something out of Kittle this week in Hollywood going against Carolina. If he keeps getting the targets at the rate he's getting, I'm going to be happy. That Thursday night game will be real interesting with the Burrow versus Higgins going on. Jeff, why don't I toss it over to you? Who you seeing in this one?
I'm calling it right here, Mike. I'm calling this the game of the week. I'm going with the Archduke here.
Hot diggity dog! It's the game of the week.
Just saw you type it in there.
Yeah. Kind of a late addition here, but it's gotta be. Joe's team has been solid. He's 2-1. You're 3-0. There's some pretty good players and pretty good lineups to get thrown out there. So I'm gonna go with the Archduke. Looking over at Joe's side, that Madison play, if Cook is out, that's kind of scary, Mike. When Madison has been in there and got the bulk of the carries, that guy just performs. And, we touched on Drake London and A.J. Brown and Amon St. Brown. If Amon's out, that's a little bit difficult. But every time he's been in there the last, half a season or 12 weeks, he's been a beast in their wide receiver 1. So Joe has potential here to keep this a pretty close game. The spread's 19. So you got to do some work. Your running backs are really the reason I'm rolling with you here to do that. So, but yeah, game of the week right here, boys. Everyone tune in. We got the Archduke with the win.
I'm definitely considering getting Brady back in that lineup now that he's got Evans, and as long as he has at least Julio, he might not have Godwin, but as long as he has those guys, I think him versus Kansas City, the more I look at it, is going to be better for me than Carr against Denver. But Nick, toss it over to you. Anything else you're seeing in this game?
I'd put TB in there, baby, for sure against Kansas City. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Your running back matchups. Delicious. Oh my God. Looking at that, we love that. I mean, he has some cheeky plays with Madison. We talked about that over there, but it's just not going to be enough. McCaffrey against Arizona. I'd be so excited about that for him to just explode finally.
Yeah, I agree. I hope it'd be nice if they threw him the ball a couple more times,
I know. What's up with that?
I'll pull up his game log from last year.
Healthy.
Yeah, maybe. I'll pull up his game log from last year. No, the games he played, 9 targets, 6 targets, 5, 10, 8. Year before, let's look, 5, 4, 10 targets. He just always is, 5+ targets. And this year it's just not been that, 5, 5, 4 targets, just none of the big target games that you love to see. That's really what kind of set him apart for me. So disappointing to see, but hopefully it turns around.
And when it does too, he's gonna explode for that 30+ game or close to 40, and then that's just gonna put you over the edge. You don't need much already.
I think it's now.
But once you get that, it's gonna be dangerous.
I hope so. Moving on to our next matchup, we got Cobra Kai at 2-1, taking on the Ashwaubenon Righties at 3-0. Righties are a 29-point favorite in this one. Nick, I'm gonna toss it over to you first. What you got in this one?
Who do I have? I got the righties to put Cobra Kai in their place. Needs to get knocked down a little bit, talk a little smack. Hopefully Eckler gets right against Houston. I don't know. What's the status at Herbert? Has anyone been paying attention to that? No.
I think it's just pain management for him at this point. So
I hope what we saw last week isn't going forward. What's going to happen with that offense? And I don't think it will be. Hopefully Eckler can get a little more involved. Jefferson's not going to have the week he had last week. I don't think ever again.
No.
Tony's team's just too good. And then also I want to highlight this.
Nick's bum of the week.
Spare any change, sir? No, off!
Kind of a bold bum of the week. Pierce just looking great, getting a lot of more snap percentage. He's looked really freaking good, and the Chargers defense is not great. But I think the Chargers get right here, and he's playing from a negative game script. And we're looking at the snap percentage or routes run percentage. You got Sexy Rexy in there, 54% of the time for route participation versus 21% for Pierce. I don't know if they don't trust him catching the ball or pass blocking. I mean, that's route participate in, but he's just not going to be there when the game's out of hand. And I hope and I think it's going to be. So, bum of the week, 9.87, a little bold because he's looking freaking good. So,
He is.
Yeah. So, Kyle does have a start sit in this one. You know, he's looking at Devin Singletary going up against Baltimore, comparing that to Clyde going against Tampa Bay, making that start sit. So, Nick, any thoughts on that one?
ooh, who's Kansas City going up against? Tampa Bay. I can't play them. I can't play them against Tampa Bay. So yeah, I'm going with Singletary.
Yeah, he had also asked, McKenzie versus Robbie Anderson, but then said that he didn't want us to talk too much about how bad his team is that he's making that decision. So I go McKenzie there. I think the Buffalo puts up a lot more points. He has more opportunity. But no, yeah, on this one, right, I got to go with the righties as well. I think that they, like you said, put Cobra Kai in his place a little bit here. James Robinson, I think he kind of comes back down to earth against a really good Philadelphia front seven. So don't think he gets the rushing production that he's been getting. And then also, counting on Treylon Burks and Isaiah McKenzie, just not necessarily a recipe for success here. Jalen Hurts is going to be awesome, but so will Josh Allen, so it won't really matter. I got to take the righties here. Jeff, toss it over to you. What you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the righties as well, covering that line. Just too much risk on Kyle's side. He'll have those weeks, and he's had them the last 2 weeks where they pop off and those rookies perform. But even if they do, I don't think it's going to be enough going against Tony's lineup. That team just looks so good. And if there is going to be a game where Eckler kind of gets back on track, it going against the Houston Texans is probably a good one to start with. So I think they'll be focusing on him to get him going and try to get a win. So I think he does bounce back. To answer Kyle's question, I'm going to also go Singletary. I think that's going to be a high scoring game. He's looked really good. Clyde's looked good as well, but against the Bucs defense, that's just a tough play, especially if you have other options like James Robinson and Pierce, who have been performing the last couple of weeks. So I like Kai's lineup. They're young guys, have high potential, but also just more risk than I think is really gonna pay off for them this week. So I'm going with the righties.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying there. Yep, and Travis has the righties as well. I don't think I covered Travis's pick on the last game. He has the Dukes taking the win in the previous game as well. Most of Clyde's production has come through the passing game, so I guess that's the one plus is, that should still be there even against that Tampa Bay defense. But, yeah, given the two, I think Singletary just has a little more upside this week. All right, all that's out of the way. Let's move on to the old classic.
Ask me the questions, Bridgekeeper. I'm not afraid.
This here's Mike's. Will it happen?
All right, Michael. Stanks riding that 2-game win streak. Feeling good. You think he makes the playoffs this year?
It will not happen.
That was Mike's. Will it happen?
Ooh, spicy.
Let's do it.
Shut up, baby. I know it.
Shut up, baby. I know it. Absolute guarantee.
As always, let's lock him in with a shut up, baby. Jeff, lead us off.
My shut up, baby, I know it absolute guarantee is all 3 undefeated teams will remain undefeated this week.
Shut up, baby. I know it.
Nick, what you got for us?
So mine is a little prayer to the gods for the shut up baby. Kamara gets back on track. I think he's going to outperform his projection of 13.8 against that Minnesota defense.
Shut up, baby. I know it.
All right. And then I guess my guarantee, maybe a little bit long-winded here, but so weeks 1 and 2, there was 3 teams in the league over 130 points. In week 3, there was only 1. I was reading something today that a lot more teams in the NFL are playing cover 2 or quarters defense where they have just a lot of guys deep. They're kind of eliminating the big play. And I think we're seeing that as far as just fantasy scoring in general. It just feels a lot more down than it maybe has in weeks past. And I think that trend kind of continues from week 3. I think at most we get 1 team over 130 points this week.
Shut up, baby. I know it.
All right, gents. With all that out of the way, good luck this week, unless you're playing one of us. See you later.
Webster's Dictionary defines radish as a swollen, pungent-tasting edible root high in potassium, which can help lower blood pressure. Or more importantly, 3 guys spitting nonsense and talking about fantasy football. Add salt and pepper and chomp into another episode next time. See y'all later.
See y'all.
Following a cupcake with a big drink of scotch probably wasn't the best idea.
Ooh, yeah, that combination
Not the worst,
cannot be good. Not the worst.